Hey guys, good morning. Today I am going to get into a game on the Wax blockchain called Dehoot Valley, which I'm really excited about. They've been in development now probably since about January or so, and they're very close. They're within days of this recording of actually launching kind of their 3D, the actual game launch and stuff that'll give you a lot more functionality. You can get into the game right now and kind of stake your NFTs and earn some of their token, but they're getting very close to the actual game launch, which is exciting. The reason I like this game is growing up, I was a huge SimCity fan on Nintendo, and this to me feels very similar. It's the closest game that I've seen so far. There's a lot of building games, and I love those types of games, but this is the closest one I've seen so far that's kind of like that SimCity feel, where you gather resources, you create buildings, you have a population, you have workers, you have all these different things that have to go hand in. It's just like building a real city, and that's, what really hooked me on SimCity, and that's what this feels like. So if you're kind of a, Gen Xer, maybe a late millennial or early millennial, however you look at it, this might be a really good game that, regardless what happens to it, I think it could be really, really fun. Their development team has been really good. They're really good in the Discord. I urge you to get into their Discord. They're always there to help answer questions and that kind of stuff. It's a very positive Discord. It's still a small new project, which is something I like. Sometimes it's nice to get into these earlier, especially if it's going to be a game that you're really going to like once they kind of develop everything. Basically what it is you're going to go resources. There's different ways. There's through packs. They're coming out with industries that you can actually go and make cement, bricks, all that kind of stuff. You can also blend on Nefty blocks for different things, and then you take those resources and then you start creating buildings, which create a population, which creates jobs, all this kind of stuff, and that's all stuff that's rolling out. So there's a lot to it. There's so many different ways that you can play this game. That's why right now it's pretty much just at the stage where you can kind of go stake your buildings or whatever you've created, and you can earn their native token, which is Hoot. As of right now, you can trade it on Alcor Exchange and stuff. There's not a lot of volume, only because there's not a lot of utility for it yet until the game gets launched. They have the odd sale that comes out once in a while that you can buy stuff with Hoot, but it's very minimal right now, which actually I don't mind, because I find a lot of projects, especially on the Wax blockchain, they're all gung-ho. They're coming out with all their stuff. They're selling you all their stuff in the native token. There's a new sale every single week, and they just get you to spend. Yet there's very little in the game development. It's not that robust yet. So yes, this one has taken a little bit longer for them to get the actual game launch out, but they're also not just pushing their stuff and making you spend all kinds of money before they actually do the work on their end. So I do like that about this. It is a slower pace, but in a bear market like this, to see a group that's still building, still talking to their community, that's pretty exciting. So it's kind of where the game is at right now. The only other thing I won't go too much into the white paper, but it is something to look at because it'll give you a better idea of what's all involved. It's really simple how you start, and I'll kind of go into some of this stuff, but basically what you're going to do is, obviously you probably have a Wax wallet if you're here. You're probably going to get some resources on an Atomic Hub, and you're going to do a lot of blending on Nefty blocks, which I'll show you in a second. I'm not going to necessarily get into the tokenomics or any of that stuff. Just know that you will be gathering a couple of their different tokens, which is Hoot and Valley. Right now it's just Hoot, but that will all come with the game launch. And basically what you're doing is you are gathering resources, you're building buildings based on what you build, and the size of your city, just like real life, is going to depend on how much of the tokens and stuff that you earn. If you go down to the kind of resources, you can see there's a whole bunch of different resources, all kinds of different levels and stuff too. So again, you can get started for very, very cheap, very early, low investment, which is nice, and you can just kind of build it up from there. I'm not going to go through all the resources, because you'll see as you kind of go through this, there's lots and lots of different resources that you use for all kinds of different buildings. Then you can also blend those into mixtures. Different mixtures are things like they're to build slightly bigger buildings, like, concrete's going to need, I believe, cement and rock, and I'll show you all that kind of stuff. You're going to need these to build bigger buildings. And then there's going to be tools as well that you can generate different resources, blend different resources, that kind of stuff as well. There's blueprints that you need to be able to go and build certain buildings. There's land, different sizes of land that you need for different buildings. And then you get into the population. Population is determined by the buildings, and I'll show you that in a second. There's going to be utilities, which is something that you need to get started, and I'll walk you through that. And then this is kind of where they are at right now. All this stuff is out, and eventually here there will be jobs, there's education, there's tourism, there's already some things that have come out for that. So just something to keep in mind, but do spend some time on here. It's fun to see all the different ways. I did want to just show you something that you probably should go in if you're looking to get started. This would be your most expensive investment if you were to get into it. I'm just trying to see exactly where it is here. But there's different roles that you can have within this game. I think it's just past here. I wouldn't worry too much about the whitelisting. I mean, you can still go get passes and stuff for that, but it's more so is your hierarchy role. So there's a couple key buildings you want to have, which are called specialty buildings. There's the Hoot Bank, there's the Hut of the Natives, and then there's the Major Plaza. So you want these because they give you a special role that's going to allow you to, pre-buy and do some things before other people. The other thing too is this also generates Hoot. If you have a bank, you can generate up to 500 Hoot a day based on, how many buildings and stuff you have. It depends on how many you have. Same thing with the Hut. Based on how many buildings you have, you can generate up to 500. And then the Major Plaza, you can generate up to 250 if you have this. So just by having these and a few buildings on your property already, that's 1,000. That's 1,250 Hoot a day, which is not nothing. Eventually that adds up and stuff too. So those are three things that you probably want to go and get started with. You are going to have to go and probably go to Atomic Hub. And sorry, my internet is really slow today. But if you go to Atomic Hub, again, just search Dehoot Valley. And there we go. Now you'll see here, there's a bunch of different things that you can buy. You can blend a lot of this stuff on Nefty blocks. So I'll just kind of show you where you kind of want. Here, we're just going to pause for a second, let everything kind of catch up. All right, so as you can see, yeah, there's a bunch of different things. There's buildings that you can buy, there's resources that you can buy, all that kind of stuff. Where you want to get probably started, if you're looking at seriously getting into this, if you go to, where is this, special buildings, those are the three things that I just talked about, the Hut, the bank, and the plaza. And I would just suggest going with, the first Hoot Bank, this is going to be the most expensive thing that you're probably going to have to buy, but getting one of these, you want to get one of the Huts of the Natives, which you can get for, not a lot. If this would ever load, there we go. Getting one of those, and then I would probably just start with the Major Plaza. You were at one point able to kind of blend all these up. Now it's just, you might as well just go buy the Major Plaza. It's going to be less, and that basically is going to start you off with 1,250 Hoot, as long as you have some buildings and stuff, and I'll kind of show you that in a second. But those are three things you want to get started with. And then the other things that you need to get started before you can even start getting buildings and all that and generating it is you need to go to Nefty blocks. So if you go to Nefty blocks, and again, this could be painful because the connection's slow, but we're going to search Dehoot. There we go. And then that's going to give you a whole, and this is something to kind of go play around with, and you can hop back on to Atomic Hub, see what the different resources are going to cost you and stuff, and see if it's going to make more sense to just go ahead and buy one of these things outright directly from the secondary market, or if it's going to make more sense to blend them. All right, so we finally loaded this, and I mean, it's called Country Crypto for a reason, because we are out in the country and internet can be very spotty up here, way up in northern Alberta, Canada. But anyway, here's buildings and stuff, and you can see if you just kind of zoom in here, it'll tell you kind of what the population and stuff is of those buildings. You can also see that on Atomic Hub, and it's just kind of cut off here, and it won't let me bring it. But anyway, the population of this building is 88. Yeah, it's a little cut off here, so you can't quite see it. But when you go in there, you can see where the population is how you generate Hoots, and I'll show you that in a second. But when you click on these, it will tell you exactly what you need to blend. I'm not going to click on all of them just because, again, my internet here is so slow, it's painful. But one of the first things you are going to need is you are going to need some services, which is an electric plant and a water plant. Now, these are two very easy entry, low value. They only create about 15 energy and 15 water, but it's a really easy way to get started in the game without having to put a lot. I'm going to show you in a second what I'm actually going to do. But the other thing that you can do is you can also start blending. So you obviously have to start with water plant number 1. Picture will eventually show up here, and then electric plant number. It'll start generating some services, and then from there you can keep leveling up to 2 and 3, and it'll give you more services. And when you click on this, I'm going to try and do this, and hopefully the internet will catch up, just to give you an idea of some of the resources that you're going to want when you get started. So if you see here, it doesn't take much. It takes some aluminum, some cement, and some iron. This is stuff that if you have a pack, maybe you already have some of this stuff. I know that I don't have any iron. I think I might have used up all my, this is telling me what I have. So right now I only have cement because we just used up a whole bunch of resources. But I do have those. So if I wanted to buy some iron and some aluminum, then I could create those resources. The problem right now is that iron is very scarce, so it's going to be tough to create that. So if I just jump into mine here, I'll show you really quick. Right now, this is what the game looks like. It's pretty much just putting your buildings. There's not much there. This is what it is going to look like here, hopefully within any day now. So I'm getting excited about that. But if I go back to mine, basically what I've done is I'll just go down. I've got all my, see, these are my special buildings. I have a couple different ones. I have 3 banks, I have 3 huts, and I have 4 of the major plazas. They all generate me some hoots every single day. Basically, if you're brand new, you're going to go down here. It's going to show all your special buildings, and then all you have to do is click stake, and then they will go up here, and you'll be able to start generating some hoot from those. These are all extra buildings that I don't have staked, and the reason for that is because if I come down here, these are all the services I already have, my water, electric, and you can see how much water, how much electricity it is producing. And I need that because I'll show you in a second. So what I am going to do is I'm going to add some more here in a sec so you guys can kind of see that. But you can see here, here's my population of 1. If I just have a house like this, I need 1 water and I need 1 electricity every single day. So in my case, I have several buildings, and this is how much, this is the total amount of water and electricity I can produce. This is how much I need to service all my buildings, because here I have a population of 12. I need 12 water and I need 12 electricity. Some of the bigger ones you can see need a lot more. That's why I need more services. And then every day I'm going to be able to go and claim my hoot. That's really easy to do. Every day this will just show up. All you have to do is hit claim, what you're all claiming. So again, I have all my stake buildings, which is that number that I just showed you. That's all my population. I have my major plaza. I have my bank. I have 3 banks and they're all maxed out. So that's why I'm getting the 1,500. I'm maxing out at 20 buildings that I have staked. That's why I'm getting 500 for each hut. And the VIP bonus is for everything that you have staked, you get an extra basically 50%. So it's 1.5 times. And then obviously there's some tax. Now I can just go claim this, and that will show up in my hoots, and it'll show up in my wallet. So I just want to show you that. What I'm going to go do here, because I have 4 plazas too, I'll show you where I'm going to get some more services. Okay, so I finally claimed all my hoot for the day. Now what I want to do is, because I've a bunch more buildings, as you can see, buildings that have a higher population. The problem is I can't do these right now because I don't have enough energy to go and get these buildings to operate. So the first thing you need is services. After that, you can start blending and staking buildings. So what I need to do is I either need to go blend some more electric or water plants, or I can buy them. So the options are, if I don't have the resources, I need to go and buy them. So I can go to services and I can go search all those things that I just showed you on Nefty blocks, like cement, iron, and aluminum. I can go just search those up. I'm sorry guys, the internet is so bad today. All right, so I'm already on services here, so this is great. But regardless, if I need to go build any of those I can just go and search the resources and buy them. You have to see what it's worth. I know iron right now is probably worth 80 wax. It's pretty expensive. So I know how much it's going to take to get me from electric 1 to 2 to 3. It's going to take me 4 iron, and you can go see that by clicking on those blends at Nefty blocks. So that's going to cost me way more than if I just go buy a water and electric plant. And because I have a little bit of wax, I sold some stuff, I am going to buy a water plant here. So I'm going to do that, and I'll show you guys where we go stake that. And we are going to approve it. And there was an electric, I believe, as well. Okay, so I was finally able to buy my water plant 3. I'm going to go find an electric 3. If this will load, I know there was one. Yeah, for 216. I don't know. In my opinion, that's pretty good for the amount that I'm going to stake. So I'm going to buy that as well, just because I happen to have enough wax to go and do that. We'll see how long this one takes. And this has nothing to do with the blockchain. This is, my internet is just really, really slow here today. So this should show up here pretty quick. Perfect. All right. So I got my electricity and I got my my water. So I'm going to go back now. I'm just going to refresh this, because what they'll do is they'll probably show up now as some extras. So you should see my water and energy go up. All right, so I was finally able to get my services added here. So I bought those on Atomic Hub, and you can see they're here now, and that increased my electricity and my water from 2450 to now to 2800. The only thing is, right now, the way the game stands, I can only stake up to 20 different buildings. So I need to make room, because I already have 20 staked. In the new rollout, it sounds like you will be able to buy extra plots with Hoot, which is great. It's going to be a utility for Hoot, so that's a good thing. But what I need to do right now is I need to go and unstake some buildings so that I can go and stake some of the higher value buildings that I have here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start unstaking some. And when you get started, it's going to look the same thing. I mean, this will obviously be empty, and then you just scroll down to the buildings that you own, and then you just hit stake. They get staked, and then it's going to start accumulating your Hoot. So I'm going to unstake a couple of these. I know these are my smaller ones, so I'm going to click on them. I'm just going to hit unstake. I'm going to click on this guy too. Just takes a little while to process it. Usually fairly quick. Obviously, as you guys can tell, not today, but there we go. So we're going to unstake that one as well. And then we're going to unstake another one, because you can see we still got room here, and I've got at least 4 of those buildings, so you know I can unstake a pretty healthy amount of these lower value ones, which I am going to do, and we're going to try and max it out to as close to that 2800 now as we possibly can. So I'll probably take off another one. Sure, why not? Okay, so that's going to give us a pretty good amount of room here. We've got a pretty good gap, almost 500. So now let's go stake. We'll start with our higher value one. So I'm going to stake this one now. That's going to show up there. If we scroll back up, you will see all of a sudden that stake. That's used some more electricity and some more water. We still got room, so we're going to go stake another one of these higher value ones. Obviously 40 is higher than 12, so we want to do that. We can still keep staking. Let's see where we're at now. We've got those staked. We still can put another, 300. So we're not even going to get close to that right now, but I am going to go create some more buildings. There's some other buildings that are coming out here over Halloween that are going to have like 100. So we're going to really be able to up that. So there you go. That's all the bigger buildings. So I still have quite a bit. The only thing is, have I used all my spots here? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4, 8, 12, 16. So I can still stake one more building, so we might as well max that out. So I'm going to go grab my highest value one for now, and I'll probably go and start blending some more buildings now that I have room. But I've basically, at this point, until the new game rolls out and I can start putting more buildings, I've kind of maxed out my 20 spots. You can see I still have room for another, 208. So, I mean, I could always go and blend another one of these or buy another one of these, or I can just do a series of smaller ones, depending on whatever resources you have. what makes the most sense at the time, because sometimes if I have to go build these and I need iron and steel beams and it's going to cost me way too much and they're way too much on Atomic Hub, well, I might be better off just going and crafting some of these smaller buildings that take less resources, but they still have a pretty good population size, so I can kind of max that out. But you always want to try and max that out. Just keep in mind, you need to have those services before you can go stake a whole bunch of buildings. Like I said, I would definitely recommend getting a bank, a hut, and a major plaza to get started. Excited to see what the new rollout of the game is all about and how that's going to look. Excited to see this and to be able to go place those buildings. There's some other things to train stations and stuff that are going to bring tourists in. There's different processors and stuff like that you need to blend. You need to blend different resources. The nice thing is if you go to Nefty Blocks and you click on the blends, it's going to tell you what you need, and you can either decide to build those, or you can decide to go and buy the resources, or you can just get some packs. And I can't wait till eventually you can start to buy some of those resources within the game. You'll be able to buy some of the buildings or craft some of the buildings that create those resources. So it's going to be a really fun game. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know it was a little slow. Thank you for bearing with me. But go check out Dehoot Valley. I think it's going to be a really, really fun one once they get everything launched.